Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Sow, Grow and Cook. Today we're going to have an update of what's growing in the polytunnels and the vegetable garden. Here we are in the top polytunnel, and as you come in through the entrance, I've got these old recycled water tanks that our friendly neighborhood plumber gave us. And in them I've planted some tomatillo plants. I've got two in this big one. I've got a single in a smaller tub and two more in the one behind. Okay, we're going to have a lot of tomatillos, I hope, and I'm going to make lots of salsa, and perhaps I'll do a video when that time comes. Right, to my right we have got a lot of Egyptian walking onions now, which are maturing and forming their little bulbs, which in time the weight of them will help bend over the stalks and they'll get planted in the ground. But I think I'll probably remove them and plant them in little modules so that I can put them where I want to put them. In the central bed I've got the Dakota black popcorn growing, and it is getting tall. This warm weather has really helped it along. I would say each plant is maybe 60 centimeters to 2 to 3 feet, some of them. And we've got about 70 plants, I think. They did really well here last year. Further down, I've planted some brassicas. I've got some purple cauliflowers, Violetta di Sicilia, I think. It's an Italian variety. Did really well in the polytunnel last year. And then some purple sprouting broccoli further on. These won't crop until early spring, late winter, early spring, but I've grown them in the polytunnel before and they've done incredibly well. They get protection from the rain and the wind, so it's good stuff. These purple cauliflower should crop, I don't know, sometime later on this summer, and they're delicious and they're beautiful as well. Coming down to the end on the right side, I've got some sweet peppers, California Wonder, something called Citrina, and I've got a bit of lettuce growing and some self-seeded coriander, or cilantro as they call it elsewhere. I always like the self-seeded things. It's kind of a lazy way of gardening, and I'm very grateful for it, and they always seem to grow quite well. I've also interplanted with a few lettuce plants. Well, you've seen that one, but I've also got some little gem. There's another one here doing okay. Further along, I've got some aubergine or eggplants. I'm hoping these are going to crop well. There's supposed to be a variety that crops early and is suitable for the UK climate. I find aubergines or eggplants a bit temperamental in this country, but hopefully these will crop. Oh, I've got some little chilies here, and I've just realised I've seen a little tiny chili growing on the plant. A couple of little cherry tomatoes and some marigolds. Now here I've got some parsley going to seed and some of my asparagus bed, which is also going to seed at the moment, and some beautiful, beautiful dill going to seed. I love these. The colour is gorgeous and it attracts all kinds of pollinators, And then this stuff self-seeds, and I find dill growing all over the polytunnel, which is fine by me because I love the stuff. Here's the salad bed. I'm always planting a succession of salads. I've got some little gem growing, and these red speckled ones are called freckles. I've got some Lolo Rosso, and I've got some of this is self-seeded. It's red auric, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but you can eat it and it's got a mild spinachy kind of flavour. Nothing to write home about, but it's always a welcome addition in a salad. Now here's my main asparagus bed. I have picked several spears this year, early on. They're taking a break now. And I've planted some Brussels sprout plants. I grew Brussels sprouts in here last year and they did very well. Again, they're sheltered from the worst of the wind and the rain. And hopefully they'll do well again. Further along, I've got some more peppers and chilies and self-seeded red auric, which I'm going to have to pull out unfortunately because they'll be taking up some of the water and nutrients, but I can eat some of that. And more self-seeded coriander. All this mulch here is semi-composted goat bedding. You can see some of the goat poop in there. I think the plants find it quite good. They seem reasonably happy. Further along, some more chilies. They like the warmth in here. And finally, we have got some calabres, just some green broccoli. At the moment, they seem happy. I have grown them in the polytunnel before. It just helps give me an earlier crop, and when they're finished, I pull them out and plant something else. I tend not to leave beds empty for very long. Let's take a look at the lower polytunnel. This year I'm trying to grow my borlotti beans in the polytunnel instead of outdoors in the garden. I just didn't have a lot of success with them outdoors the last 2 seasons that I grew them. They never seemed to mature in time. I was able to pick some of the fresh pods, but I'm really growing them for the beans inside. So I'm hoping that by keeping them under cover with a little bit more warmth, they will mature to the stage that I want to pick them at. We shall see. I'll keep you posted. I've got tomatoes growing in here. I think I've got about 33, 34 of them. They've all got support with baling twine, which is strung up along an old clothesline attached to the crop bars in the polytunnel. I've tied them at the lower stem and have been gradually weaving the tomato plants around the stem, a bit like this. They're growing fairly quickly, so they need to be wound up the baling twine fairly regularly. And it's a constant job to be taking out the side shoots, which just seem to crop up everywhere. Here's one. We'll take that one out. There we go. The variety I'm growing are, I've got some Ukrainian purple tomatoes, which I've saved the seeds from, I think, the last 5 or 6 years. And I've also grown something called crimson plum, which is a really good blight resistant plum tomato. And I've got some crimson crush, which is quite a big round tomato, very tasty, good for eating and good for bottling and making sauces and things. There again, they're a blight-resistant tomato. And on this side, I've got some tigerella growing, and I've also got some spaghetti squash in here. I've not grown spaghetti squash before, but I've eaten it and it's delicious. And I had a spare yellow courgette plant, and that's got some very tiny fruit developing now. They're doing quite well. And 2 or 3 cucumber plants, which I'm going to support with a string in the same way that I've done the tomatoes. Oh look, and there's Stella. She's not growing in the polytunnel, but she enjoys coming in here, especially today because it's raining and it's rather cool outside. Let's move on to the outside. Here we've got some Charlotte potatoes, which I'll be harvesting shortly. They're my favourite. Lovely waxy salad potato, full of flavour. Here's some beetroot. There's 2 or 3 different varieties here, and they're now beginning to fill out a bit. All these raised beds along here are made out of palette collars, which are hard to find now, but I've used these for a few years now. We've got some Swiss chard, some carrots under some netting to protect from carrot root fly, and some elephant garlic, which should be harvested shortly. I've taken the scapes off, and some main crop potatoes and some strawberries. Along this area, I'm trying to develop a little perennial bed with flowers and herbs. Oh, here's some Greek gigantes beans on some hazel teepee, and lavender, thyme, mint growing. My shelling peas, which were a bit slow to start, but now they're setting out lovely pods which need to fill up before I'm going to pick them. I hope we get loads. I love fresh peas from the garden. There's some more Charlotte potatoes. And just beyond there, I've done an experimental brassicas and zucchini or courgette bed. The brassicas include cavolo nero and red cabbages and green cabbages, and the courgettes are green zucchini and yellow ones. There's some autumn planted onions which will be harvested shortly, and I'll plant something else in their place, and some carrots which are just starting to come through, and I must cover them up with netting. There's some leeks and some flat leaf parsley by the looks of it, and parsnips. They were all meant to be parsnips, but somebody got confused about what to plant where. I think that was me actually. Strawberries, which I need to get at before the slugs or the blackbirds get to them. They're looking good. And some onions, which I planted in late April, early May. More potatoes. I think we're going to be self-sufficient in potatoes this year. I'm trying to incorporate some flowers in the garden as well. And here's some mange tout peas. These are Norley. They don't grow very tall, so they're self-supporting. You don't really need twigs to hold them up, and they're very tasty. I love them in stir fries. There's some purple climbing beans and some more autumn planted onions with things growing in between, and sweet corn. Just beyond that, we've got some yellow courgettes, which, oh my goodness, have quite a few fruit developing. Bring it on. Okay, leeks and more runner beans and some flowers, which I hope will fill out as the summer progresses. I'll have to keep those watered. Those are main crop potatoes, Sarpo variety. They're blight resistant. There's some beetroot growing. I love beetroot grated in salads. There's some onion and Swiss chard, which is just coming through. And more flowers, which hopefully will attract the pollinators. There's some runner beans, more runner beans, and some uchiki curry winter squash, which got frosted the other night. I think it was like the 23rd of June. Quite a shock to have a late frost like that. But I think the plants are okay. It's just cosmetic more than anything. You can see a frosted leaf there. The plants are doing well. Other than that, they're setting fruit already. There's some Jerusalem artichokes, which I grow for the goats. They love the tops. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe.